Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here today to talk another time about this season called Advent. And yesterday I began with the story in Luke chapter 1, and I'll read it again. I'll do this every day this week. It's just 2 verses. It reminds you, it says this: In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a town in Galilee called Nazareth, to a virgin engaged to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary. Now, I'm sure a lot of things happened during the time frame of that passage, things that we don't understand and we don't really usually ever think about. But as I mentioned the other day, that once you got engaged, that was the big thing. And then you wait for the ceremony. So here we see that one day an angel comes to Mary during this time of engagement when she's waiting. And she's waiting to do what she thinks is a fairly normal experience. She's going to get married. Now, I'm sure she had a lot of questions, a lot of wonders about getting married to a guy named Joseph. I don't know how well she knew him. We assume she knew him really well, but maybe she didn't. In the Old Testament days, you didn't necessarily know your future husband or your future wife all that well. And so she has to go from this time period when the engagement begins to the marriage and anticipating all the things that are going to happen in the marriage. But in the middle of that, well, maybe not quite the middle, but in the midst of that comes this angel named Gabriel. So today I want to talk about waiting. Psalm 130 verse 5 says, I wait for the Lord, my whole being waits, and in his word I put my hope. I wait for the Lord, my whole being waits. Now, some of us, it is me a little bit, but not like I used to be, but some of us have trouble waiting. We get impatient. For some reason, we think that whatever it is we want, we should get it now. We get impatient in our cars when the red light changes and somebody doesn't move. We get impatient when we go to a grocery store and the line is long and it looks like they could at least open up a few more cashiers here. And the old comments about Walmart and their long lines with a real person there. We don't wait very well. But yet, in Mary's day, there's nothing to speed things up. There's a time and tested routine that has to happen before the marriage ceremony. She can't change that. She can't speed it up. She can't manipulate it in any way. She just has to wait for God's timing. Well, you and I have to learn how to wait. Oh, I know that's a big deal for some folks. But waiting implies that whatever is coming is going to be worth it. Well, the problem is we want it now. And here it is, Christmas time, and we want it to hurry up. It's amazing how many times people get so excited for Christmas to come. And then by the week or two before, they've used up all their energy and then they want it to hurry up and get over with. I'm kind of, I don't know what the right word is, not surprised, amused maybe. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else at how early we want to put up our Christmas tree, but how fast we want to get it down. One year I left my tree up until Epiphany, which is the first week in January when traditionally the wise men show up. And I felt so strange. I know I shouldn't have. I like my Christmas tree and I like my decorations. I think they're beautiful and I like looking at others. But somehow having it up after Christmas, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. So I'm sure this year, shortly after Christmas, ours will come down. We don't want to wait. But this says, I wait for the Lord. My whole being waits. And in his word, I put my hope. If you want to live a life of joy and happiness, then you got to find time for God in it. You got to find time for the Lord to work his will instead of you trying to make it happen. If this Christmas is going to be exciting for you, then you need to be sure that the Lord's in the midst of it. Now, I know some of you hate Christmas. Christmas is a tough time for many people, especially those who lost a loved one during the Christmas season. It's a shame in many ways that all of the great memories of Christmas are overcome by the tragedy of the passing of someone. And I know that's a tragedy. God waited for a long time to send his son into the world. God waits a long time for you and me to respond to him. Sometimes I have to think, what's wrong with you, God? Can't you see how awful this thing is and these people are? Why don't you just do something? Well, it's because God's not impatient. I am. And perhaps you are too. So I hope this Advent season you'll think about your ability to wait, ability to just hold back, see what happens, and trust God in the midst of it. Will you think about that today? If you have a concern or a need, let us know, and we'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Thanks so much for listening. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll share another thought on this Advent season.